Did you just see this Columbia Journalism Review report that came out about Russiagate? Saagar and I were looking at it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's really long, in-depth. I mean, it's overdue, right? It's like way after the fact. But I think this is one of the first, certainly mainstream, and CJR is as mainstream as they come, mainstream attempts to actually go back through the Russiagate narrative, where it started, how it was sold to the American people, and all of the lies and especially the omissions. And they take a really hard look at the New York Times as kind of the main player in the story. There were other villains as well, but the New York Times was the main player. And they would report something that, you know, they would shade it to look as bad as possible with regards to Trump-Russia connections. They would get some other piece of information that was exculpatory, wouldn't be in the paper at all. And they got all kinds of, you know, millions of new subscribers to their paper who were there to hear this, like, you know, elaborate tale of Russian conspiracy and the Manchurian candidate and whatever. And the underlying narrative that at least I take away from the CJR report is the New York Times and MSNBC and a lot of other places. They were more interested in feeding that audience what they wanted to hear than actually looking at the facts of what was happening. And you know, you read it, it is as damning as it could be. And listen, the way we were sold the Iraq War was bad enough. Like, that was a travesty. After the fact, they actually did some correctives that here's what we got wrong and we're sorry and whatever. This, they will never admit that they did anything wrong here. They just move forward and pretend like none of it ever happened. And it is astonishing. And they wonder, then they turn around and wonder, like, why does no one trust us? We just don't get it.
Yeah, well, we have to make laws against disinformation. That's what we have to do. Misinformation and malinformation, all of those are bad. And this way we can control the narrative.
Are you gonna be the one who determines what's fact and what's fiction?
And actually in the piece they were like, the U.S. has the lowest media trust in 42 developed nations. And they're like, yeah, how does that
that's
happen?
true, because I think there's an insanely strong trust in independent media.
You are right. They're pointing to the mainstream media.
You know, these people that are, they're just who they are. You know who they are. And it's possible to do now. You can be a real person. You don't have to be a propagandist or a spokesperson for the state. You can be a real person and tell people what the fuck is going on, because this is a wild game that other people are playing on our behalf with money that they've gotten from our taxes, where we don't even get a say in what the fuck they spend it on. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it doesn't affect your daily life. You drive to the same place. You say hi to your neighbors. It seems fine, but you're dealing with a destructive empire that has been doing things to other countries that if you saw them, if you were boots on the ground, you would be horrified. If you watched a drone bomb a wedding party in Yemen, if you were a part of something in another country that we're involved in, that our tax dollars have gone to, that we have just written off as being not of concern.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yemen is a great example. I mean, across the board, humanitarian organizations around the world say this is the greatest humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in the entire world. And, you know, we are highly complicit in this through our support of Saudi Arabia. You don't see Yemen flags from on people's cars. You don't see the news media talking about it. You don't see them humanizing the children that are starving and dying there. And so, you know, part of the way that the information ecosystem is shaped is what they decide to care about, what they decide to cover, the way they decide to cover it, and what just gets pushed off the page entirely, out of sight, out of mind.